Welcome back to all the learners and students. Session 3 in the subject of cost accounting. So far, in session 1 and session 2, we have covered basic meaning of cost accounting, important drawbacks of financial accounting, difference between financial accounting and cost accounting, classification of costs, elements of costs, advantages, disadvantages, functions of costing. These are the points that we have covered in the session 1 and session 2. In the session 3, that is today's session, we are going to cover 3 points under the head of understanding costs. Dear students and learners, understanding the costs is very important to move ahead to learn the cost accounting. During this session, 3 important points are covered. Understanding of fixed cost, variable cost and semi-variable costs and their behavior also. In the second stage, we try to understand materials, labor and expenses and their components. Both indirect costs and direct costs of these 3 elements will be discussed in detail. At the end of the session, we also cover overheads. Dear students, let us start with the first cost, fixed cost. In the session 2 also we have discussed at the end of the duration. Now here we are going to learn fixed costs in detail. There are 2 important features or important points that you have to keep in mind while understanding the fixed costs. First one is total fixed cost does not change with a relevant change of output. That is the reason we say it is fixed. Though there is a change in the output, change either upside or downside, but there is no change in the fixed cost. The cost remains fixed. But very important feature, fixed cost per unit decreases when the volume of production increases, and vice versa, means fixed cost per unit increases when the volume of production decreases, means per unit to volume of production inverse relation is there. In the case of total fixed cost to volume of output, no relation exists. Either the volume increases or decreases, there will not be any change in the fixed costs. What are the good examples of fixed costs? Rent and lease, salaries paid, insurance premium paid, municipal taxes on our building and other assets are the best examples of fixed costs. Let us understand with an example. We said in the second point of previous slide, fixed cost per unit changes when there is a change in the output. Three headings are given. Total fixed cost. Treat this one as A. Number of units produced. Treat this one as B. Fixed cost per unit. Treat this one as C. Fixed cost is same whether you produce 1 unit or even 1000 and above units. In the example, from unit 1 to unit 1000 goods produced, but the fixed cost remains constant. But fixed cost per unit changing. Only 1 unit produced, means entire total fixed cost belongs to now only fixed cost per unit. For that particular unit, 10,000 rupees is spent. Second example is, now number of units produced increased from 1 to 2. Now naturally you can see a change in the fixed cost per unit, which is 5,000 now. Now you can observe when the units are produced up to 10, 100 and up to 1000, the fixed cost per unit is changing, like 1000 rupees per unit, 100 rupees per unit and 10 rupees per unit. Means when the volume is increasing, per unit cost of fixed cost will come down. In the brackets it is mentioned, fixed cost per unit C is equal to A by B. A is total fixed cost, B is number of units produced. Now how it behaves with the theory that we learnt in the previous slide, with the example that we have seen in the previous slide, can be depicted in the form of a chart. Total fixed cost and volume of production shown on y-axis and x-axis. Now you see the first figure, fixed cost is constant, total fixed cost is constant despite increase in the volume of production, which is shown on the x-axis. The total fixed cost and volume of production lines are parallelly moving irrespective of change in the production, irrespective of volume change in the goods produced. On the other hand, in the second figure, volume of production is increasing but fixed cost per unit is decreasing. This particular figure gives more clarity for the table example that we have seen in the previous slide. As the volume of production is increasing, fixed cost per unit, per individual unit is coming down. This is the behavior of fixed cost. Let us see second cost, variable cost. Important point of variable cost is total amount of variable cost increases or decreases in direct proportion of the volume of output. Means there is a positive relation between the variable cost and volume of output. Second point is variable cost per unit does not change, unlike fixed cost. In fixed cost per unit keeps on changing when there is a change in the volume, but in the variable cost, per unit does not change when there is a change in the volume of output. Means per unit remains constant, total variable cost keeps on changing equal proportion to that of volume of output. Examples of variable costs are direct material, direct wages, power, royalties, salesman commission and so on. For better understanding, let us take the example of variable cost per unit also. Variable cost per unit, which is fixed, which is constant irrespective of number of units produced. So which is 50, 50, 50, 50 in all the cases. Number of units produced changing from 1 to 2, 2 to 10, 10 to 100, 100 to 500. Now last column, total variable cost. When only one unit is produced, total variable cost is 50. When two products are produced, variable cost is 100. Means as there is a change in the output, there is a change in the total variable cost. Similarly, you can observe the last row, number of units produced increased up to 500, and equally there is a change in the variable cost, total variable cost, which is now 25,000. This way you have to understand the variable cost. For better understanding, let us see the behavior of it. The first figure clearly explains the relation between volume of production and total variable cost. As the production is increasing on x-axis, on y-axis you can see the line of total variable cost is also keep on changing, that is increasing along with the volume of production. Means there is a positive relation between the two, volume of production and total variable cost. You can observe the second figure also. Second figure speaks about variable cost per unit, not the total cost per unit. It is only per unit. Volume of production is shown on x-axis and cost is shown on y-axis. Irrespective of change in the volume of production on x-axis, the variable cost per unit is constant, remains fixed. Simply, per unit of variable cost is always constant. Total variable cost is always changing. The change is along with the volume of production. Now third component, semi-variable cost. Fixed cost remains constant, variable cost keeps on changing, but there are certain costs, certain expenditure which the organization or the business houses used to incur. They are neither falling under fixed cost nor falling under variable cost. The nature of these costs not matching with that of the fixed cost and variable cost. So they are falling under another category called semi-variable cost. Two important points are mentioned. The semi-variable costs include both fixed cost and variable cost. Means the nature of some of the costs are similar to that of fixed cost. Nature of some of the costs are similar to variable costs. That is the reason we say it includes both fixed cost and variable cost. There is no fixed pattern behavior of semi-variable cost. In the previous slides, when we discussed about fixed cost and variable cost, behavior is shown and the behavior is very clearly understandable. Total cost and per unit cost, how it is changing when there is a change in the volume of production, is clearly explained and understood. But in the case of semi-variable cost, pattern of the semi-variable cost assessment or understanding is not that easy, as there is no fixed pattern, as there is no fixed style of semi-variable cost. Examples of semi-variable costs are supervision costs, maintenance and repairs, compensation for accidents, telephone expenses, light and power, depreciation, etc. For easy understanding, let us take telephone expenses. Even for my personal use, I have a land phone connection. Per month, the operator charges 1000 rupees by giving a number of free calls, at the same time some internet data. But once those limits are exceeded, because of the high consumption in the family, then I have to pay extra money for the units consumed over and above the internet data which is given free and the calls which are given free. Means to some extent the cost is fixed. Once the limits are crossed, then it becomes variable. Means there is a combination of fixed and variable in the example of telephone expenses. Similarly, other expenses also having almost the same features. Now for understanding, 2-3 behaviors are exhibited in the chart. All the three belongs to only semi-variable costs. It can behave in any other pattern, in any pattern shown in the graph. Let us take the first. Volume of production is increasing. Now very interestingly, observe the total semi-variable cost. To certain volume of production, it is constant. Again it is increased. Like 100 to 200 units of production, it is constant. Once it is touching 200 units, immediately there is a hike. Again it is constant. From say 200 to 300 units, again it is constant, like stepping. Again from whenever the output reaches 300 units, again it is increasing. From there again it is constant. Means at every level of output there is a increase in the total semi-variable cost. It may behave like this because of the nature of the production and other factors that are influencing. Second one, volume of production. To certain level of production it is constant as shown in the figure 2, and afterwards it is keeps on changing along with the volume of production. Means up to certain units it is fixed and remaining it is variable. The telephone example is very much applicable for the chart 2. And a third one, whether you produce or not, at zero level the semi-variable cost is fixed as shown in the chart 3. But once you start producing the goods, for every unit of goods produced, there is a change in the semi-variable cost. So these are the three couple of behaviors presented for your better understanding as far as understanding the semi-variable cost concern. Now before we close understanding these three costs known as fixed cost, variable cost and semi-variable cost, let us understand the relation between the three or the behavior patterns of these three, how they behave. The behavior is mentioned in comparison with the volume of production. A line indicates fixed cost, line B indicates semi-variable cost, line C indicates variable cost. Observe carefully. A parallel line equal to the volume of production line, that is x-axis. Though production is increasing, line A, which is fixed cost line, it's constant. Total fixed cost is constant. C, line C, which is variable cost line, as the volume is increasing, the variable cost line is also increasing. There is a perfect positive relation between the volume of production and variable cost line. And in between you have B line, semi-variable cost. It is also again increasing and the volume of production is increasing, but after a certain level it is less than the variable cost. So for your understanding, the behavior of all the three costs are presented here. After completion of the previous slide, now we are entering into second part of our today's discussion. So far we were discussing about understanding of fixed cost, variable cost and semi-variable cost. Now onwards we understand different elements of cost and understanding of it. As we have discussed in the previous class, elements of cost includes three components: material, labor and overhead. A detailed discussion will be taken up for better understanding and their behavior in the form of material, labor and overheads. Let us start with the first one. Materials. Materials, again you will find direct material and indirect material. In every element or component of the total cost, you will find two types of costs: direct and indirect. Let us see direct materials first. It is that which can be conveniently identified with and allocated to cost units. Direct materials generally become a part of the finished product. Means when you see the finished product, when you see the raw material, identifying that product is possible. Most of the cases, the raw material used in the production process may appear in the finished product, and it is possible to identify also. And allocation of these costs is very easy. Examples are given. Clay in the bricks. Clay is the raw material, brick is the finished product. And in the brick, clay is identifiable. Leather in shoe. Shoe is the finished product where leather raw material can be identified. While producing the machines, steel is the raw material and steel is visible in the machines. In the garments production, cloth is the raw material which is visible. In the furniture finished product, timber is the raw material which is also visible. Identifying visibility and allocation of costs are the main features of direct material cost. In the same material, you have indirect costs also. Indirect materials which cannot be conveniently identified with individual cost per unit or cost units. Unlike the direct material, indirect material may not be conveniently identified, and as the expenditure is also less or the costs also very minimum, these having less importance, minor importance, but they are part and parcel of the production process used as material. You can see the examples. Lubricating oil used in the machinery, sandpaper to smoothen some process, nuts and bolts which are fixed here and there to finish a product wherever required, coal burnt to have fire and energy in the production process. Small tools which are used, stationery used during the production process. Office stationery doesn't mean the corporate office. Office stationery of the godown, etc. So these are all part and parcel of indirect materials. They are also taking part in the production process. Let us discuss element 2, labor. We call it as even wages. Direct labor consists of wages paid to workers directly engaged in converting raw materials into finished goods. Laborers may be working in different places in the production point, in the factory place, but those wages which are paid to workers who are directly participating in conversion of raw material into finished goods are called as direct labor costs. Other laborers working in the factory will not be covered in the direct costs. Those who are directly participating in the process of converting the raw material into finished goods are part of direct labor costs, such as machine operator, shoemaker, carpenter while making the furniture, weaver while making the clothes, tailor while readying the dress. All the wages paid to them are direct labor costs. As we said, in every element we have indirect component also, though it is small, but it is part of that element. Indirect labor cost is of general character and cannot be conveniently identified with a particular cost unit. Just observe carefully whether material or labor. If the cost is indirect, identifying is not that easy, not convenient to identify and assess how much amount spent in that process. So such as supervisors payments, amount paid to inspector, cleaner, clerk, peon, watchman, for all these people we used to pay wages, and these are called indirect labor costs. Now we are moving to third element and last element of the elements of costs, called expenses or other expenses. Now you see here also again direct expenses and indirect expenses are there, which we call them as direct costs and indirect costs. Direct expenses are those expenses which can be identified with and allocated to cost centers or units. The common feature is whenever it is direct nature, it is identifiable and allocation is also possible in simple process. As it is identified, allocation to cost center and cost unit is very easy, such as hire of special plant for a particular job. In the process of completion of a particular job that is engaged by the business, if a new plant is hired to finish that job, it is identifiable. A new plant, how much cost for that particular job only it is used, means that entire cost of hire may be allocated to this particular job. Similarly, travel expenses in securing a particular contract, not a regular contract, special contract. Cost of patent rights, experimental costs, cost of special drawings, designs, etc. to have a new model of the product, new model of engineering, etc. All these are direct expenses. You have indirect expenses also. For indirect expenses, there is no proper point, but indirectly we can understand that which is not part of material, which is not part of labor, means indirect material cost, indirect labor costs, Other than these two, if any amount is spent in the production process indirectly, it is called indirect expenses. So in the total indirect costs, some portion belongs to materials, some portion belongs to labor, and leftover portion, which is not part of labor and material, is part of expenses. We call them as indirect costs. These cannot be conveniently identified with a particular job. Like in the previous slide, all the examples that we have taken are identifiable for related to process, job, contract, etc. But in the case of indirect costs, identifying them which are belongs to a specific task, either a job or a contract or a process, etc., is not possible. Once identifying not possible, allocation is also very difficult. All these are called indirect costs. Example, rent and rates. Total rent paid how much, and how the out of total amount rent, to which process it belongs to, how much it belongs to. Identifying is very difficult. Similarly, depreciation may be used for different asset or a particular plant may be used for different processes, different jobs, different departments, and at the end of the year we depreciate the asset. But identifying how much depreciation to be allocated to which process, which job, which contract, etc., is very difficult. Other examples are lighting and power, advertising, insurance, and repair. Now, you might have understood the subclassification of material, labor, and overheads. In material, you have direct and indirect. In labor, you have direct and indirect costs. You have in expenses, direct and indirect. Now you group them, all the direct expenses grouping and all indirect expenses grouping, they will become something like prime cost and overheads. Means direct material plus direct labor and direct expenses is equal to prime cost. Indirect material, indirect labor and indirect expenses is equal to overheads. Means all the costs, in other words total cost, is divided into two parts now for our understanding. Prime cost, where all direct costs are included, overheads, all indirect costs are included. And understanding, managing, analyzing and reporting is very difficult as far as overheads concerned, because of 2 points: identifiability and allocation process. Now these overheads, to control them better, these overheads are also divided into subdivision, subsegments, which are presented in different colors in this slide. Production overhead, office and administrative overhead, selling and distribution overheads. There is a division of 3 categories as far as overheads concerned. Let us understand those 3 also. Production overheads, which are also known as factory overheads, works overhead and manufacturing overheads. You call with any name: production, factory, works, manufacturing overhead. Everything is permitted and interchangeably used. Now you have 3 things here. In every overhead, 3 components are there, because overhead itself is what? Indirect material, indirect labor and indirect expenses. Now combinedly all these are classified on the basis of like function: production function, office function, selling and distribution function. Like now in every subdivision you will find all the indirect elements. In the production overhead, indirect material is there, indirect labor is there, indirect expenses are there, and for that examples also given: coal, oil, gas, etc. Indirect labor example: work manager salary, factory employee salary, wages of factory sweeper and watchman. Indirect expenses like factory rent, plant depreciation, repairs and maintenance, etc. Means in the production overhead, office and administrative overhead, selling and distribution overhead, you will find three components: indirect material, indirect labor and indirect expenses. Adding these three is equal to factory overhead. Adding those three is equal to office overhead. Adding those three is equal to selling and distribution overhead. Now let us focus on the second part, office and administrative overhead. This is the indirect expenditure incurred in general administrative function, not related to production process, not related to selling process. It is only office management process. Again, three components: indirect material such as office stationery, postage; indirect labor, office staff salaries and remuneration to top management like directors, managing director, etc., company secretary and all; indirect expenses such as office rent, legal expenses, lighting of office, telephone of the office, other expenses. Now selling and distribution overhead, last and final component of the overheads. There are, again, if at all you want to understand further or you want to research further, these can be again divided into two parts: selling overhead separate and distribution overhead separate. What are selling overheads? It is the cost of promoting sales and retaining customers. How to increase the sales and how to retain the customers. In this process, if you are spending any amount, it is called selling overhead. Similarly, distribution overhead is the expenditure related to product completion stage 2 till it reaches the destination. In simple logic, it is the expenditure related to logistics. Again, indirect material, indirect labor, indirect expenses are there, such as packing, cost of samples, material used for delivery van, etc. are part of indirect material. In the indirect labor, salesman salary, salary of warehouse staff, etc. In the indirect expenses, advertising, traveling expenses, showroom expenses, etc. are included, and all these three together is equal to selling and distribution overhead. In the class 2 also, I have shown this chart for better understanding of total cost and the process. Total cost consists of three elements: material, labor and expenses. Every element is divided into two parts, direct and indirect. Now with the help of arrows, just you can understand, all direct costs of material, labor and expenses are taken and shown in the form of prime cost. All indirect costs of material, labor and expenses are taken together, called it as overhead. And this overhead, just now we have discussed, consists of three parts or division of three parts: production, administrative and selling and distribution overheads. Whenever you are facing difficulty in understanding the costs, you can go through this particular chart for better understanding and moving ahead in learning other chapters of the cost accounting. Friends, we are coming to close this session 3. During this session, the topic of understanding costs is discussed. Understanding of fixed cost, variable cost, semi-variable cost is discussed in the stage 1. Understanding of three elements of costs called material, labor, overhead is discussed in the stage 2. And finally, to avoid confusion, for better understanding of costs, we have also discussed in detail overheads which is divided into 3 subcomponents, namely production cost, office and administrative cost, and selling and distribution cost. In the next session, that is session 4, we will be discussing couple of exercises to understand better the costs. If time permits, we also discuss the cost sheet and how to solve the problems in the cost sheet, where learner tries to find out the total cost of production and per unit cost of production. Thank you, one and all.